D. McClung, Archer Monologues. That's where I talk, and you don't. All right, let's see now. We want to stay on the light side of this situation. We don't want to get into that, all this nonsense going on today. Like, you know, people shooting people in self-defense and murder and black people and BLMs and Trump nut fuckers and all that shit. Let's keep it more on the personal level. The like, I'd almost call it a self-help kind of attitude. Let's help ourselves get better, be the best we can be. Let's try to learn something. Stop bickering about what's true and not true, and find out what's true, and kind of maybe agree on that. Now, I know it's asking a lot. There's like 7.5 billion, 8 billion people on the planet, and trying to get them all to agree on something is probably impossible, right? Right? That's what you think. However, however, let's take a scenario from the past. How many people way, way, way back there believed that the earth was flat? Now, we know for a fact it's not flat. And I know there are people now that are called flat earthers or some stupid thing. And they're like, oh yeah, but they're idiots. It's just absurd. And I think probably the only reason they're talking about it like that and saying that they think that the earth is flat is because they want attention. Attention hounds. Because nobody in their right mind would believe that that's true. Just nobody. So basically, we have a consensus around the world today. Most people believe that the world is round. Most people. And, yeah, nobody's arguing with that. Nobody's, bickering on the internet. Oh, no, it's round. No, it's flat. And calling people names, because, you're an idiot because you think the world is round. It's not really. Nobody's really doing that. I mean, a few people are doing it. Like, there's always going to be some wacko freak, nut, batshit crazies out there that believe shit that's just ridiculous. Like Christians believing there's a God. I mean, that's just absurd. And there's a lot of people, millions, maybe billions of people believe there's a God. But there isn't. And so, they're just batshit crazy. And that's a lot of people. You could almost say there's a consensus among humanity that there's a God. Well, if you think of it that way, out of 7.5 billion people, a billion of those, 2 billion of those, maybe a billion of those, maybe 550,000 of those, depending on what denomination or uh, breed of religion you adhere to. Muslims, there's a God. Christians, there's a God. They don't know it, and they can't prove it. And of course, there's always this, we're going to argue about who can prove it and why you can't prove it and who can prove it and whatever. Like, prove me right, prove me wrong, prove me right, forget that shit. There's no God. Logic tells you there's just not possible. It's ridiculous. It's absurd. And even if there was, I'll do a concession here. Even if there was a God, one, I can't imagine it being the God, Christian God, because that bastard is a motherfucker. Genocide. Genocide. With a flood and murdered every man, woman, child, fetus on the planet, except for Moses, Noah and his family, which are dubious in their character. All right, so I mean, just absurd. And you know, if it rained for 40 days and 40 nights, enough to cover all of the earth, even the highest peaks, which are thousands of feet high, whatever, you know what? The boat would sink. I don't care what kind of boat it is, it would have sunk. The laws of physics apply. And you know how much rain would have had to fall to cover the entire earth, to cover up all the peaks and everything in it? Oh, did the fish drown? Really? Did they? Anyway, dolphins, whatever, sea crabs. Um, I mean, come on. It's just illogical. It's delusional to think. Really? So anyway, the thing is, the consensus might exist. That the world's like, oh, there's a God. When any intelligent, reasonable person, anybody with a rational brain, would say, no, it's just not possible. In the first place, we have no evidence, no proof. Now, you think if a God of the fucking universe was there someplace and he created all of this, including humans and cockroaches and syphilis and the devil, by the way, which Christians claim he did. So I'm pretty sure they did. So anyway, it's just, he certainly could find a way to just let us know. I mean, he wrote a book? Really? The book was written by man. It's pretty obvious it was written by man because it's flawed. And most of it's nonsense. And a lot of it is of dubious character and dubious credibility and so on. It's absurd to even think. I mean, like, let's murder witches. Really? And you know, there's another consensus because I'm imagining at some point in time, like in England and maybe France, maybe over in America at that point, at some point that everybody thought there were witches. I mean, for real, witches. That, you know, we have to burn them at the stake and hang them and whatever. Really? Tens of thousands of people were murdered because, hey, you're a witch. When the fact is, nope, they weren't. Because, there's no such thing. I know there are people that pretend to be witches for fun, you know, role playing kind of thing. Yeah, fine. If they're having fun, good for them. If they're actually thinking that they're really witches, then they're insane. And if you believe that they're witches, you're insane also. It's absurd. Just absolutely absurd. But let's say there was a time when the consensus, at least in a certain area, everybody pretty much believed there were witches. Let's take, for example, Salem, Massachusetts. Did everybody in that town believe that there were witches? Did everybody believe that? Was there not one or two people somewhere in that town that didn't say something like, that's just stupid? No, I'm not believing that. No, it's ridiculous. Particularly the people that were accused of being witches. Like, of course I'm not a witch. What the hell's wrong with you people? Interesting to note, the old fantastic consensus that there are witches and we need to murder them or something, kind of went kafooey once I think it was the mayor of the community said, you know, that they said that he was a witch or his daughter was a witch, as I recall. They're like, he said, okay, that's it. That's enough. Enough fun. No more joking around here. My daughter's not a witch. So stop this. It's over. It's done. I'm the mayor and it's done. Something to that effect. Oh yeah. When you're going to accuse the mayor's daughter of being a witch, I'm pretty sure somebody's going to put their foot down and say, enough of this insanity. No, I don't think so. Of course, that That was a little late because 19 people had already been murdered. Not one of which was a witch, by the way. Anyway, Bible said, kill the witches. And that's another excuse, for me to say, well, I'm just going to mock people that think that witches exist because, hey, the Bible says, the Bible says murder witches. And then on, the other page it says, thou shalt not kill. Well, shit. Anybody with that kind of conflicted belief system is a fucking moron. I'm sorry. Yeah, you're a fucking moron. So, and then there's the thing about the gay people and all that shit. But, and a flood, really? And Moses, I'm pretty sure there's no evidence that there were 2 million Jews living in Egypt. Ever. No evidence. So anyway, if there was a God, then I'm thinking, you got a pretty lame God going there. If he can't, at least say something like, hey, people, I'm God. Here I am. You better, be good. And, and don't murder people like witches. Because there aren't anything like witches. I'm God. I should know if there's witches or not. And I know there isn't because I didn't make any. And the world's round, by the way. Because I said so, I'm God. And he didn't have to, any real self-respecting God would have had a pretty good, concept about raping 12-year-old girls and, making them pregnant with his son. Really? And you look at this. Oh, Jesus, and he was virgin born. God, made his own begotten son because he, raped Mary. Some calculations are she was like 12, 13, maybe 14 tops. In social situations and cultural norms at the time, and by the time you're like approaching your mid-teens, you were married. And what I want to know is, just out of curiosity, what the hell is Mary doing marrying freaking Joseph, this old guy? Talk about pedophiles. Gotcha, motherfucker. Because, seriously, how old was he? 60, 70, 80, 90? Or was he just, maybe late 50s? How old did people live back in those days? Not very long. You didn't see a whole lot of 90-year-old guys in Bethlehem, in the year 0. You just didn't, because they just didn't live that long. No. Oh, I know the Bible says, Moses lived to be 800 years old or some nonsense. Just no, didn't happen. Just physically, biologically, scientifically, realistically, the laws of physics and all that shit, no, he didn't. That's just an outright freaking lie. End of story on that one. No, he didn't. And what would be the purpose of telling me, oh, in this book, hey, he lived to be like a zillion years old? Oh, by the way, did Moses ever have a wife or get married, have sex, have some children? Or was he a little bit of a, homosexual? Maybe he was just, fucking insane. I remember one passage in the Bible where it said, Moses told his troops, mind you, these are supposed to be peaceful, loving people that love God and all that. Thou shalt not kill, Moses. Remember, Moses, don't kill people. It's God's law. Don't kill people. And then he says to his troops, who just basically wandered around the desert for 40 years, really, at what point would I say, you know, Moses, oh buddy, I mean, I've been following you around the desert here for, like a couple of years. What are you going to do? Just keep leading us around the desert, murdering villages of people and stuff, raping, pillaging, and plundering and shit? Yeah, for what? How long? 40 years or so? I don't think so, dude. I'll probably be dead by then. I'm already 32. I don't know, white hair here. You know what I'm saying? It's just absurd. It's not even a beautiful story. It's just absurd. And guys, anyway, what Moses said to his troops was, you can find that in, what chapter, what verse, what place? Numbers? Or that other way. Can't remember right off. You can start in the beginning and just keep reading till you find it. It's in there. Trust me, it is. Other people have seen it, and other people have actually quoted the exact words out of the English version of the Bible. By the way, it reminds me of a joke. If English was good enough for Jesus, it's good enough for me. Jesus did not speak English. Trust me. All right? Because it didn't know. It's absurd. It's insane. All right. And I think we could almost get a consensus on that. I tried real hard. So anyway, he said to his troops, I'm going to paraphrase because the actual wording is a little bit like, well, Bible talk. Sorry. He says actually it's pretty much plain English in the translation. Go to the next village. Okay. Why? Why don't you just stay in your own little village or wherever and just stay home and mind your business? Seriously. Leave people the fuck alone, Moses. So he says, go to the next village. Murder all of the men. Okay. Well, if the word was kill all the men, then thou shalt not kill there, Moses, buddy. Think about this. You committed a sin. You're going to hell, Moses. All right. And this guy supposedly talked to God. Really? That's so laughable. Anyway, go to the next village, kill all the men, murder them, pretty much just slaughter them because Moses' army was like really vicious, brutal, and barbaric and disgusting. Because somebody, we're self-righteous. We're like God's people or something. Anyway, yeah, go to the next village, murder all the men. And here's a good one. Here's the next part. You ready for this? Rape all the women. What? Yeah, rape the women. Just go in the village, murder all the men, all you men and teenage boys probably. All of those guys, rape them. I mean, kill them, murder them, slaughter them, cut off their heads, slice them up with your swords, whatever. Be nasty, because you're my people and my soldiers, and, kill them, kill them, kill them, kill them. Because I shall not kill Moses, but, oh yeah, let's do that. And God should have smited him down right then. Just said, whack. No, Moses, we're not going to kill anybody. Not going to happen. Tell your people, no killing. It's a sin. You're going to hell. And he's inspiring these people to commit a sin. So that makes him, multiply more times guilty of sin than his people. Because they're just dumb soldiers. What the hell they know? Yeah, he told us to kill some people. Okay, fine. Whatever. Moses should have known better. He talked to God. Hey, God, you remember that part about thou shalt not kill? So should I, probably not tell my people to go kill people? Just asking for a friend. So anyway, that's it. kill all the men and boys, probably over a certain age or whatever, or probably didn't matter. Who gives a shit? Just murder any males you find, even babies probably. Anyway, and rape. I mean rape. Did I say that word right? Am I speaking English here? Rape all the women. And there's something in there about who have laid with a man, which means wives or married women. Because if you've laid with a man and you're not married, then that wasn't even considered possible, probably, except for the prostitutes, who were usually widows and so on. Anyway, poor people that needed some money because they were freaking hungry. Well, I got to have something to eat, and I'm like starving, and what am I going to do? I don't have any talents, I don't have any trades, I can't get a job as a secretary or anything down at the Jewish Habab, whatever. And so what do? I know. I can fuck. And they'll give me something to eat. Yeah, sounds like a deal. I can do that. Because otherwise, I don't have the brains to be do calculus or, be a scientist or any damn thing. Not that anybody would let me because I'm a woman. Duh. All right. So, anyway, nothing wrong with prostitution, by the way. Just in case you were thinking. All right. So, and Jesus said so. Hey, Mary Magdalene, you prostitute? Yeah. Would you like to take care of me, baby? Hang around with me, sweetheart. I need some, now and then. All right. So, yeah. What? You telling me that Jesus was alive for 33 years? He was a grown man all the time, and and he didn't have any. Seriously? He was like a virgin? You think? Well, even his father had sex with a freaking virgin. Would you think Father, I'm praying, and please, God, give me strength. I want to have sex with some women. And God said, no, you're my son, and, you're not going to have sex. So, so anyway, and then Moses didn't have any sex either. I mean, I don't know if he had any kids or not, but, I could understand him wanting to rape people if he hadn't had sex in 600 years or whatever it was by that time when he was running around the desert. Freaking moron. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So, murder all the women, married women and wives and people that have had sex. Okay? And here's the next part. This is the real catcher. This ought to get your goat. And if you have a problem with this, you should. You should have a problem with this. I mean, you should have enough problem with this that you should swear off of your Jesus Christian bullshit God bam, in a flash. Because whoa, wait a minute. Here it comes, Moses continued to say, and bring home all the virgins and make sex slaves out of them. Say what? So rape all the women and mothers that were in the village and bring all the little girls that are never had sex. How young would they be, you think, seeing as how the medium age for getting married back in those days was about, 14? So, let me think. Yeah. Now, by the way, pedophile has to do with kids, teenagers, children. Children are prepubescent, before little girls get boobies and bleed from their vagina. Those are called children. Pedophiles, children. Okay? Adolescents, teenagers, not children. This is not debatable. This is a fact. Biological, natural truth. Period. Not debatable. The word pedophile means love of children or sexually attracted towards children, meaning children, not adolescents or teenagers. You understand? That's a fact. That's what the word means. It's not debatable. You don't I'm going to argue about the meaning of the word. All you got to do is go back and look under, what does it mean? Well, pedo means child or children, and phile means love of. So, love of children. Children means what? Define the word children now. Oh, well, we've just changed the meaning of that word to mean something else that doesn't mean and never will be. Never will it mean an adolescent or teenager. Never, ever, ever, ever. Never has, never will. I don't care what Title 18 of the U.S. Code says, which actually says the word child for the first time in known history that I know of any law in America where the word child was actually codified to mean a minor, that is to say someone under 18, a fabricated, made up number. Because nature says, I don't know what you're talking about. Talking about age of consent. Yeah, throw that in there too as a bonus. Age of consent. That's when nature says you can reproduce now, and you probably should because nature says you should, and I'm Mother Nature, and nature says, it's time. And if you wanna, go for it. And you know you do because there isn't a teenage boy or girl on this planet ever that didn't want to have sex because it's called the urge to reproduce. And, that's the purpose of being humans, being alive. Everything that's alive, like animals and stuff, they want to reproduce and perpetuate the species. That's their job as people, is to reproduce. I know we got jobs like mechanics and airplane pilots and doctors and shit. That's fine. That's an extra thing. But as human beings, which are animals, mammals, the urge to have sex is the strongest urge ever because that's the job of a person. You're born, you grow up, your sex organs develop, and bam, you want to fuck because you want to make babies. Boys and girls both. Now, we have this thing called a brain that gets a little bit twisted and I don't want to have a baby. And then you come up with birth control and things like that. But let's go back to Moses. Anyway, pedophile doesn't mean teenagers. It doesn't mean minor. It doesn't mean someone under 18. That's bullshit. Somebody made that crap up. And, I heard a lot of people, they're always bickering about this government thing. Oh, the government's trying to take away our freedoms, trying to take away our freedoms, meddle in our lives and tell us what to do, blah, blah, blah. And then, when the government tells you, you're 17 years old, 360 days old, 17 years, 360 days old, you're a child, and you don't have any rights and you don't have any brain. And you say, yeah, that's true. So I'm going to introduce a word here called, hypocrite. For one thing, because you don't want the government, man. But then again, when the government tells you, you got to do this, you got to do that, you got to do this, you can't do that, you can't do this, you can't do that. Even though nature says, yeah, that's what you should do. That's the point in being alive, dude. And these damn right-wing, fanatic, crazy, nut people, Christian Looney Tunes, like, oh yeah, gotta get married, gotta get a license. Which, of course, in my previous episodes, I explained to you is like not the government's business. But, these people just accept that as true, even though it's not. Oh, by the way, just for the heck of it, this is not my opinion. I don't do opinions. Cook Spinney's is yucky is an opinion. Yeah. Cook Spinach is slimy. That's not an opinion. Because look at it. You can see that it's slimy. All right? But that's not even good enough yet. How about this? 2 and 2 is 4. Always has been, always will be, It's a fact. It's not an opinion. Calculated logical conclusion. Let me think. I have a 2 here. I got a 2 here. Put them together. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4. Mathematical fact. Not open for discussion. Oh, yeah, but, we got to argue about it. No, you don't. You accept the fact that it's true, and you can prove it if you got 4 fingers on your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4. How many? Got 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. You got it. 4. That's the answer. It's always the answer. It's always been the answer. It'll always be the answer. Period. Fact. Nothing to argue about. So how could it possibly be that we haven't not got a consensus on that fact? Do you think that most of the people on this planet over the age of 4 years of age does not accept as a part of the consensus that 2 and 2 is 4? Do you know anybody that doesn't know that fact and does not accept and acknowledge that fact? Seriously. Let me think. Where's the sky? It's up. No, it's not. Really? Go outside. Look up. What do you see? Sky. Duh. Answer. Problem solved. Consensus. But not if you're standing on your head. Nope. It doesn't matter if you're standing on your head or you got your head stuck in the sand or you're living in a cave or under a rock. The sky is still fucking up. If you're up in the sky looking down at the earth, that's a different equation. The sky above you is still up, even if you're flying upside down in an airplane. Consensus. It's just true. Why do you argue? Why would anybody doubt that? Moses. Remember? Go to the next village, kill, murder people, rape people, bring the little virgin girls home and fuck them. Is this the kind of God you think is wonderful? Even if Moses' God did exist, that's the kind of God he is. Nobody's going to worship that monster if they got a brain, unless they're like totally fucking insane and stupid and disgusting and evil. We clear on that? Why isn't there a consensus on this? Why isn't it everybody in the world should know and understand these basic facts, truths, and principles? Any Christian who claims he's a Christian, who, I'm a Christian, and if he kills somebody, he's not a Christian, he's a sinner. Gone to hell. Because God hates sinners. Oh, by the way, sin's just a made-up thing. No such thing. What used to be a sin is no longer a sin. And now they've made up new things that are sins that actually never were. Just fabricate shit just to control and manipulate people. I am a power freak. What does it call it? Control freak. Anyway, do you understand what I'm saying so far? You follow me so far? All right. There's a guy on Quora, and he said something like, you show me some evidence, just one little shred of evidence that there's a God. Just show me, give me that evidence, present it to me, and I'll debunk it. I'll prove it wrong. I'll prove that it's not true evidence. Go ahead. Come on. Let me have it. Anybody. Guess what? And this thing on the thread on this, the thread on that thing, it was like pages and pages long. People arguing and bickering and arguing and bickering and arguing and bickering. And not one of them presented one shred of evidence. Not One. So I told the guy, I said, you waste your time. They're not going to give you any evidence to debunk. They didn't. And he told me, I didn't really expect them to because, since there isn't any, probably explains why they didn't give him any evidence because there isn't any. There's a clue. So anyway, why do we not have a consensus on a lot of things in this society? Kind of change gears here just a little bit. Why is there not a consensus about the fact that there's a pandemic going on? Why? Or there be people saying it's a hoax, it's not real, blah, blah, blah. Why? What kind of moron would say such a thing? I mean, seriously, what are you, living in a cave? Your brain like what? That of an embryo? I can't even, it boggles my mind. I know there's all these little things and little details and little circumstances and stuff. Yeah, there's always that. There's always somebody that's going to say, but what about that? And what about this? And I'm not getting into the big debate about the various things that are people saying on, like, on Gab, for example. I mean, freaking lunatics. But anyway, and they're lying through their teeth, and they believe some of these lies because they're not smart enough to figure it out on their own. So much for critical thinking. They keep saying things like that. Do your own research. Come to your own conclusions. Think smart, and then they just think stupid. And they don't bother to look up the research that's actually valid research, real research or true research. They just take something they read on the internet and say, hey, that's research. No, it's not. Just reading something some stupid person said on the internet is not research. Research is, where you start from nothing and go from there. And then when you get to the end of it, you say, well, research shows truth. Calculate logical conclusions. And while you're doing these calculations, do a little critical analytic observation. Like, for example, let me think. Look at the facts. Look at reality. Why can't everybody, who in their right mind would deny that at some point or another on this planet there was a big problem with polio? There's a vaccine for polio, and guess what? Bingo! Nobody gets polio anymore. I know maybe there's a case or two somewhere in the world. I don't know. It's possible. I'm not saying all vaccines are good and safe and all that. That's not the point of what I'm talking about. That's another thing. Wouldn't you have a consensus about the fact that we have this problem and we need to do something to help, save humanity? Cut down on the freaking dead people? We should probably try to do something to prevent the spread of this freaking disease, this nightmare that has robbed me of at least 2 vacations in the last couple of years, which really pisses me off. I'm getting old, I don't have time to waste. I want to go to the beach, damn it. But I can't because, stupid COVID. And then people with their stupid rules like, you got to wear a mask, wash your hands, use hand sanitizer, don't touch things, stay away from people, don't go to church, whatever. I mean, I'm not get into the points on that one, but, I'd say if you've got a brain functioning in your head, you're going to think, maybe I should just try to be careful here and not do things that might get me freaking killed. Should be a consensus on this. They act like everybody's the enemy. I'll tell you what the enemy is: ignorance and stupidity. and freaking delusions and lies and crazy people. And I'll just tell you a secret. I've spent the last 2 years just living my life like I always have. Well, in the last many years. Doing what I want. I go to the grocery store, get my groceries, come home. I order things online. They bring it on the UPS truck or the FedEx truck or the mailman brings it. Seems like it's pretty easily safe. I'm not kissing and hugging the UPS man. I pick up my dinners at the restaurant at the door. I did that before the COVID thing. I'd rather eat my supper at home. I just enjoy that. It makes I find joy in that. I just don't want to cook it all the time. Sometimes I just like to run down to say, boys, give me a couple of roasted chicken dinners and give me a salad, and I'll take it home and eat it. I'm kind of a recluse. Figure I'm fairly safe at home. I don't go out that much. And when I do, try to be careful. Stay away from people. Wear my mask if it's in a situation where I might come close to people that might have it. And we know they might, because I know people that have it right now. One of them had the vaccine, and the other one, her husband, did not have the vaccine. And guess what? They both got it. I don't know what they do in their days. I don't know who they see or where they go or who they associate with or how close they get to other people, but pretty much they were just going about their business, doing their jobs and whatever. Apparently got close to somebody that had it. And which one of them gave it? Did the wife who had the vaccine give it to the husband who didn't have the vaccine, or vice versa? Either way, they both had it. And by the way, they both seem to be doing very well. They didn't go to the hospital or anything. They went to the doctor. They had the test. They said, yeah, you got it. They're taking some medicine. They're staying home, taking it easy, and they're recovering very well, according to what they told me today. All right, I'm going to wrap it up. But remember, consensus. Why would anybody not agree with certain facts, proof, obvious things? Sky's up. Why would you disagree with that? Why would anybody argue with that? It's just insane. Seriously. 2 and 2 is 4. That's a fact. All right? There's a pandemic going on. We got to survive it. There are precedents in the past that kind of tell us do this, do that, do this, do that. And, maybe we might not be one of the dead ones. We might not even be sick. We might actually just, it might go on in the world and we just might be safe in our homes and nothing happened to us. I'm lucky so far. Maybe. I'm just lucky. Wife's just lucky. Nope, don't have it. Hopefully, we don't get it. I'll do what I can not to, because I'm not an idiot. Get the vaccine? Yeah. Maybe. Maybe not. Jury's still out on that. So anyway, that's the point. Consensus on facts. Proven facts. Consensus that facts that are not proven are not facts. Evidence or no evidence. You got evidence? Good. You have no evidence? Not going to believe you. You have no credibility. And in some cases, you keep arguing about it, you're an idiot. And I don't have time for this shit. I got things to do. I'm getting old. I got limited time to do 100 zillion things. All right. I like planning my next episode. All right, this is me, D. McClung, Arthur Monologues. I'll catch you next time.